We didn't know the first thing about installation. We were sales guys. And so the next morning, we became the production department. We did $3 million our first year in sales together. And then we've never installed anything. We had to go install all this stuff. I've had 80-year-old women chase me with a chainsaw. I've been hit with property stakes. I've been cursed out. I've been screamed at. I've gotten 1-star reviews. Woken up one morning with zero money in our bank account. The positive mindset is the one thing that through it all, if you maintain, you can get through all this stuff. No matter how good a sales guy you are, you're not going to outsell 10 guys. So go ahead and get 10 guys and you're going to 10x, right? They're beating down my door now. I've had 3 offers on the table. Each of them are different. They do different things. They want different things.
I'd rather go into war with somebody who has the will to do it versus the skill any day, because you can have somebody with all the skill, but if they don't implement that will, that's a different issue, man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Blue Collar Millionaire Podcast. This is a member spotlight with Mike Colwell. This is going to be a real treat. I'm very excited about this one today, Mike. Thanks for spending some time to talk to us a little bit about yourself, your journey as an entrepreneur, MC Fence and Deck. Thanks, brother, for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I look forward to helping those people who are looking to scale, and hopefully I can help you not make some mistakes that I made.
Well, look, that's the bedrock of a lot of it is you can fail, you can make mistakes, just try not to make them again.
That's right.
So that being said, Mike, give us a little bit about your background, man. What line of work are you in? I think we know a little bit about what line of work you're in, but tell us how long you've been in this industry, what your upbringing looked like, and how it brought you to today.
Yeah, so my company is MC Fence and Deck. We serve Northern Virginia, Southern Virginia, Virginia Beach, North Carolina, and to Florida with 2 stores. We've been in business since 2016. The inception of the company started with me and my father. Probably not a traditional start where somebody's out swinging the hammer and somebody says, let's start your own business. I was a PE teacher. And so
Nice.
I got my degree in education, and my dad was a police officer. And we're both living in Loudoun County, Virginia, which is the richest county in the country. And as a teacher and as a cop, you're not making enough money to live here. So we wanted to do something on the side. And my dad would come to my school where I was teaching, and he would show me these checks he was getting from selling fences. And I'm like, that many people need fences? I can't even believe it. I didn't even know there was that many fences around. And so he said, Mike, I can sell ice to an Eskimo. I'm a great sales guy, but I hate paperwork, like all great sales guys do, right?
Yeah.
And so he said, Mike, if you would help me with my paperwork, I'll pay you per folder. And he ended up paying me $50 a folder, and I was making more money doing his paperwork and his folders than I was as a PE teacher. And so that went on for about 2 years, and ended up one Christmas, we were sitting around the Christmas tree and decided that we were going to leave the guy that he was selling for. I was going to resign as a teacher. We were going to do it full time. At that point, the guy that we were working with, this was 2008 when the economy or the housing economy burst. He had 70 homes, and he had 70 doors, I should say.
Yeah.
And so those payments ballooned, and he got up one night and left. And so he left me and my father with about 160 installs. We didn't know the first thing about installation. We were sales guys. And so the next morning, we became the production department. So you talk about 2 guys who were not in the industry at all.
Yeah.
To selling. We did $3 million our first year in sales together. And then we've never installed anything. We had to go install all this stuff. And so the next morning we got up and we went to the installers and we said, teach us everything you know, please. And so we stood on the jobs for a year. And we were out on the job sites for years and years. And that's how we learned. And we scaled from 3 million to 7 million to 9 million, 22, and now 33. And so that's where we're at today.
So 3, 7, 9, 22, 33. So that's over the last 5 years.
Yeah. And we were consistently in between those numbers the last 16 years. But that's the pattern. We've never had a down year yet. I'm not saying it'll never happen. We currently have 5 stores. Our goal is to be 6 by the end of this year and 9 by the end of next year.
Now, and as you're growing and as you're expanding, what model are you using? Are you rolling up competitors and buying them out, or is this mostly organic growth?
It's organic growth. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I wish I knew when I first started these is don't hire your friends, your buddies who think they can do this. Really get in there and find great people who want to work really, really hard. I do find people that are experienced in the industry sometimes aren't the best to hire. I really want to find entrepreneurial minded people that want to work really hard in the first couple of years. And so we've been lucky with the people that we have found and the people that we have kept. And of course, as in every business, we've had to let some people go help another company.
Yeah, I think something that resonates with me is, I've got a couple of businesses that I've owned. When family and friends recognize that you own a business, they want an in. Hey, Mike, hey, Ricardo, hook it up, man. I'll do good work for you. And of course, you feel obligated to want to acquiesce, right? And to help them out. But just as you said, chances are 9 times out of 10, it's not a good decision because it gets emotional and
That's
your
right.
heart is in it, but your mind should be in it as well.
And I'll back up a little bit. The way that we scaled from 3 to 33, I read a book called The Highest Calling, and the author of that book was Larry Janeski. Most guys on the Blue Collar Millionaire know who he is. I ended up going to his school of entrepreneurship, and he taught me how to, from being a PE teacher to an entrepreneur who's working on a fence business, not a fence company owner. And the delineation between being a fence company owner versus an entrepreneur working on a fence project is how we scale. And so most of the credit goes to him, to be quite honest with you. The calculations he instilled in us early on is mostly how we scale.
What are some of the big setbacks? Because of course you've had tremendous year over year growth is astounding, man. To go 9 into the teens, 22s, 33. What major setbacks did you have along the way, and how did you get past some of those? Because of course, when you scale, you get a lot of greatness, but you also have some challenges to solve, right?
The biggest challenge that I think I had and a lot of other business owners have is the people challenge, and really taking hiring as a full-time position, really looking at it as a step-by-step process, as opposed to, hey, this guy's been in the fence business for 10 years. He's the one. Hey, I know this guy from 10 years ago. He's the guy. This guy lives in the right place. He's the guy. That was the biggest setback. Putting some general managers or branch managers in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Our biggest setback was 100% not doing the due diligence up front in hiring. When you get the right one, you can rocket fuel, right, or scale, right? But with the wrong one, it could crush the location very, very quickly. And the people that we're looking for always is, it starts with a positive mindset. Do you have a positive mindset? Can you work hard? If you give me those two things, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to train you, and I'm going to teach you everything that I know to help you succeed. But it's the positive mindset.
Yeah, I think I always, I've got a little bit of a military background, but will over skill. I'd rather go into war with somebody who has the will to do it versus the skill any day, because you can have somebody with all the skill, but if they don't implement that will, that's a different issue, man. That's a them thing. And the skill issue you can teach. And then the slow to hire, quick to fire is a philosophy that I like to live by as well. Spend a lot of time identifying what that candidate looks like. Tell me a little bit about, no doubt, at a business that's doing $33 million a year, your culture has to be well known. How do you foster and cultivate a successful culture that every employee is bought in on? And tell me how many employees you have as well.
Yes. So when you asked the question last time, what's the biggest challenge? Well, I'll add culture to it. I didn't understand culture. I didn't realize that it even mattered. I was a college football player. I was a guy who, yes, coach, whatever they told me to do, I did it, right? And I always expected everybody in your company to do the same thing. And when those folks don't feel appreciated, wanted, talked to, found, they're not going to do what you want them to do all the time. And so the first locations, I really struggled with this. And now I realize that it's about time and spending time with the people and building the culture. Culture now, to me, is setting the systems and processes up and making sure that it's in support of the employees, and that we are taking care of our employees so they can take care of the customer. And so our core values, our mission, and our vision align with the people that we're hiring now. And when we hire, they understand the job that they're getting into. They understand the daily tasks. They know how to win at those daily tasks. And that, to me, has helped the culture tremendously. When I hired before, it was like, hey, man, this is what you do. That erodes away, right? And so this is how you win at your job every single day. And here's how you're compensated for that. Here's how you're praised for that. I think it's helped the culture tremendously.
Yeah, that's huge. And it helps when you're able to come out the gates with a new hire and they understand that from the very beginning. I think one thing a lot of small businesses miss the mark on is, because it's like put out fire here and there, you're so busy with the day-to-day that you just expect somebody to just come into the fold and to just understand something. And there are a lot of folks who are willing and able to do that, but that's not replicable. You can't replicate that every single time. And I've struggled with that a lot as well. It's like, look, Let's go from just, instead of hiring somebody off the streets, let's get them set up for a Monday morning in brief where we go over the expectations of the company, give the handbook, ask if they have any questions, because you can identify some red flags in a candidate right then and there that you wouldn't have otherwise understood. So yeah, I absolutely love that. And how many employees do you have?
So we're a sub-install company, but inside the company, we're 21.
Okay.
So at the corporate level, what we call corporate is 5 people, and then the rest of them are at the different locations. We try to keep it super lean inside the offices. We have some shared services at our corporate level, and then everything else is sub work.
Okay.
So
very good.
Each of the different offices have, 3 or 4 fence crews and deck crews, patio crews, hardscape crews. So
Okay. So I talk to a lot of business owners that are in pursuit of adjacent verticals, other services that are offered. Tell me about the beginning of MC Fence and Deck and how that has changed over a period of time, if it has, in terms of what you offer. Have you capitalized on offering more over time? What does all that look like for you?
Yeah, great question, Ricardo. So we started as a fence company. My father's a fence guy, wants to run as many linear fences he can in a given, or when he worked for me, in a given day, right? That's his thing. Naturally, when you're in people's backyards, they want us to sell them everything. And so I brought on a
lights,
guy.
everything.
That's it, man. Plantings, outdoor lighting. So now our services are, we do all types of fencing, residential, commercial. We also do decks. We do screen porches. We do patios, hardscape, outdoor kitchens, fire pits. Those services have been added over time as I bring on professionals who know how to do that. One of the first sales reps I brought on, his name was Jeff, and he was a deck sales wizard. He sold so many decks, we couldn't keep up with him in production. We didn't know how to do it. And
That's a good problem to have.
And it's a great problem, except when you can't install it. So he taught us a lot, and we learned from him. So then we started doing decks. We brought on another guy from a landscape company who was really heavy in hardscape, and he's kind of flourished the hardscape side. But that's how it happened. Kind of naturally, didn't really. But I will tell you, if folks out there are looking to scale a company, a repeatable, simple service is so much easier to do than a design build service. So I have people who sell deck work, who create and craft these beautiful structures that nobody else could do like them. Then I have guys who only sell 300 linear feet of privacy wood fence, right? That's how their mind is. They're not conceptual. They're just linear foot every single day, all day, right? And I think that if you're going to go to 5, 10, 20, 30 locations, I think it would be very hard to do with a design build mentality. I think it's repeatable services. And that's why you see the other fence companies out there being able to scale quicker than a design build company.
Yeah, I think I heard this from, I can't remember who said, you can go wide or you can go deep. If you go deep, you have to know the niche. You have to know exactly how deep you're going to go, and you kind of run out of a little bit of room. It's hard to dig after a while. If you go wide, though, and you have the bandwidth to do it, you can offer that. It's the KISS model, right? Keep it simple. And you can offer that model over and over and over again, and it ends up working in your favor. Who's your competition out there? How do you deal with what competition looks like? The barrier to entry in fencing, given a state in the U.S., it's not that difficult. We talked a little bit about GC licensing and what that looks like for certain states. I know the state of Florida is weird when it comes to that, but what does your competition look like as it relates to barrier to entry? Or are you even worrying about them at this stage?
We're not worried about anybody. There's people that do the same thing. There's people that might do it a little bit better than us. We just focus on what we can control our controllables. What we want to do is take care of our employees. They take care of our customers. Our communication process with our customers is over communicate and under assume, right? And so we communicate, and we just stay in our lane, man. And we keep doing our thing. I understand there's large companies coming, but we just keep doing our thing.
Yeah. So you're definitely scaling. I've talked to a lot of folks that say, Ricardo, profit margins will diminish as you scale a company. It's just a way of the truth. Is there a truth to that? And if so, can you give us an example of what you've seen as you've scaled from a profitability perspective?
Yeah. So if I were to run one location in where I'm at in Northern Virginia, my profit should be around 17, 18% net. year over
Okay.
year. Now that I have 5 locations, that profit will be down to 12 to 11. And the reason is when you're opening a new location, one of the biggest costs is marketing. I can run 3% marketing costs at my core location. I have to run 7 to 8% marketing costs at a new location. The leases, just everything. You have to dump more money into the location when it's new. And so to answer the question you asked a few minutes ago, again, one of the biggest challenges that I didn't know being a PE teacher coming in trying to run a multi-location business was that not every business is going to be that core business. They're all functions of their own cash flow and differences and different people and different mindset, and understanding we can try our best to make it exactly the same, but there is going to be differences in different markets too. I might sell a product here where I can't sell it there. And I learned the hard way that. And so one of the lessons learned is understanding that there is differences in different markets, 100%. And that as you do grow, your net margin is going to go down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and this may be a little peek as to a question I want to ask in a little bit. Yeah, your net margins are going to go down. However, the larger you become, the more attractive you become to private equity, right?
That's right.
That's the other PE acronym. And when you think about that, if you can sell at a higher multiple, you're going to use financial arbitrage to help avoid staying a small business, because quite frankly, a large firm, let's say a PE firm, wants to buy a business that has systems and scalability in place. Before we get into that topic though, it's 2026. A lot of people are using AI in a different manner than they've ever used before. To what extent are you guys using AI? And if you are, what's working in that space? What do you think that people are missing out on? And if you're not, why not?
We are using AI. I think that our marketing manager right now is ranking us on ChatGPT. We're not using it. We are talking to it every single day and allowing it to figure out what our competition is doing, allowing us to figure out what keywords. We're using it a lot in our marketing. I'm using it. We are using it to write operations manuals, to write SOPs, to make the whole thing even more systematic. But we are using it on a daily basis. I know there's so much more we can do with it. And I think over the years, like everybody else, we're going to learn how to do that. Everybody's just kind of figuring it out right now. Our social media channels, we're using it in our social media. We are using it in job quoting. We're now putting plans of our decks and porches into it, and it's spitting out 3D drawings. We're dabbling and we're seeing what it's doing. And so, yeah, we're using it every day.
Yeah, on the baseline, I'm with you on that. It's come out so quickly that there's so much that's available. I have ChatGPT 5.2, and we talk about this in Boardroom Elite a lot, is how are you implementing that in your business to keep the edge on your not your opponents, but your competitors, if you will, right? And so I think that there's a lot from a basic perspective you can use, like, hey, I've got this problem set at my company, and you feed it the data and it extrapolates at least a starting point for you in terms of how you approach that challenge and how you go to try to solve it. But I think from a different perspective, if you give it more data, it's going to understand your tonality, it's going to understand your business and what you're struggling and what you're not struggling with. And so it can give you a peek around the corner. For me, with ChatGPT going to advertising here soon, with the onset of CRM platforms like Go High Level and so many other things, you need an efficient way to stay in touch with your clients, but that you're also going to stay cutting edge with. And so I think if you're just thinking about it right now in business, it's a good start, but start delving in by asking any questions and seeing what it gives you, because you'd be surprised. It's a pretty damn good response sometimes. You know what I mean?
I agree. I was walking around my Ashburn store yesterday and I was looking kind of at the screens or whatever, and everybody had it open and they were writing it in there, making it look more professional, and then copy and paste it. So we're all starting to use it now.
Yeah. I started to implement after hours AI voice and text with my company, with my carpet cleaning company. And there's a lot of people out there that don't want to interact with AI, right? But let's be honest, it's getting better. I don't know if you've interacted with anybody recently, but I called somebody the other day and it was for a doctor appointment. And I rescheduled it. And I was like, that was pretty good. I didn't need to speak to anybody else.
We used a company called Avaca, and Avaca starts at 5 in the afternoon and goes to about 10 p.m. We're trying to capture more leads on the weekends and afternoons. And it was pretty successful as we were using it. And so we needed to do a couple more things that it didn't do yet, but we're hoping in 2026 it's going to.
Yeah.
And so we're pretty seasonal. So we're going to cut it back on here in about a month. Yeah. We're using the AI after hours.
I like that. You mentioned something earlier. Are you at about 3% ad spend on an established store and 8% or a new
Yeah,
store?
2.6. I just looked this morning, 2.6 in Ashburn, which is our established store. And then our newer store, I think we were 5.3. So we're, almost double, right?
Okay.
As we open a brand new location, first year, we need to be 7, 8.
Yeah. At what stage in your growth did you stop installing fences, or did you get from the front lines to taking a more strategic approach? And what effect did that have on your business?
For me, I never installed it. So I was a sales guy. So when I stopped selling, year 3.
Okay.
And when I went to school with Larry, it allowed me to realize that no matter how good a sales guy you are, you're not going to outsell 10 guys. So go ahead and get 10 guys and you're going to 10X, right? And so that's essentially get more leads and get more sales guys to scale. And it's just the super basic explanation, but that's when I learned. And I said, oh crap, we went from 3 to 9 million in a year because I just hired more sales guys, trained them and got them on the street. So I got out of the truck, stopped selling, and allowed me to manage those guys and train those guys the way we needed them to treat our customers.
What do you say to a small fence company doing $300,000 a year that's just started out? What helps them get to any of the, even close to some of the numbers you're working with right now? How do they get to that level? Is it sales, unfettered door knocking? Is it connections? Is it buying out a business? What is that kind of advice that you offer that small business?
Well, they have to understand metrics. They have to understand that if I can get this many leads, if I can book this many leads, and that is a metric that most small guys don't understand, that where you're losing a lot of money, I got to get the lead and I got to book it. Okay. Then after I book it, I've got to understand what's closed, right? So that's the third metric. I've got to understand average sale equals my gross revenue, right? And so if I understand that metric, that all I have to do is get more leads, get more sales guys, watch my close rate, watch my average sale. That's how I scale. And so it starts with one sales guy, you train him up, starts with another sales guy, you train him up, starts with another sales guy, train him up. Look, the guy who wins the market is not who builds the best fence. The guy who wins the market is the guy who gets the lead and sells it. And I understand from a customer's point of view, that's not what you want to hear. But if you're trying to scale a business, that is the metric and the understanding that you need to have as a business owner, not as a hammer swinger, right? And so to the small fence guys out there, I would say that if you don't understand that you're not a fence company worker, that you are working on a project that does fencing, that's the delineation that I would say, and understanding those calculations and metrics to get you there.
Yeah.
I truly believe that if I could find the right people, we could scale, and we'll talk about PE in a minute, to 100 million in 5 years, 6 years. Right?
Wow. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
And so for me, we don't have the right pieces and parts in place to do that. But if we did, I could do it. We could do it.
Yeah.
And so for the small guy, man, understanding that you get out of your business, brother. Get out of your way, get out of your business, start saying no to people. The more no's, the better. Start saying no to people, focus on the metrics and calculations. And your time is the most valuable thing you have, because you should not be paying yourself a salary. You should be paying yourself on how the company performs. And so that understanding is just way different than a guy driving around a truck with selling some fences and installing them. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But if you want to scale, there's another way to do it.
I love it. I think it's counterintuitive for us to think about this concept of saying no as a good thing, because at first you want to appease everybody, right? Because think about it. We think about, entrepreneurs are good at thinking about the long game. If I say yes to Mike right now, he'll use me again. Even if I'm giving Mike a little bit of a discount, he'll tell his friends, right? If I go say yes to this Sunday afternoon job, yeah, I'm going to get some more revenue. But at the end of the day, what you also have to take into account is, what is this doing to me personally, to my psyche? Getting out of the way means you don't get disenchanted or disenfranchised with the company and the business and how you run it. I had a call today doing some talking dry cleaning stuff. I'm speaking at an expo in March, and we talked about, how do you step away from your business? Well, every owner operator is looking through a soda straw. Their aperture is small. And so they can get to one thing really, really well. But the reality of it is despite doing that one thing really, really well, it's likely not going to have that huge of an impact on your business. Whereas if you climb out a little bit and you can see everything, just as you said, you don't have to be the best. I say you don't have to be the best. You have to be the best known, or you have to be able to take that lead and convert it as best as possible, man. I freaking love that. And not enough people are saying no, protecting their time and looking at the big picture, looking at the smaller picture. And that's what hinders growth.
Really is. Becoming the Jolly Green Giant on your business, becoming locally famous and whatever market you're in, and becoming the Jolly Green Giant, that's what matters. I could drive to every single job site today. We have 9 job sites going on around the local area. Is that going to give me another lead, book another lead, make another sale? I'd rather spend my time setting up trainings. We are a training company who does fences. And so we're training every day.
I love it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about PE. What are your thoughts on private equity? How do you approach private equity? You're at 33 million right now. How long is Mike doing this for? And at one point, do they involve themselves?
Ricardo, they're beating down my door now. I've had 3 offers on the table. Each of them are different. They do different things. They want different things. They want different things from me. They want different things from my company. They transact different.
Interesting.
Yeah, they are. They're not all the same. And some of them are part of a larger company already. My feeling on it is I'm sure I will go that route within the next 2 to 3 years. I want to make sure that when the partner that I go with is the right partner for me and I'm the right partner for them. And I feel like I'm just getting started, although I've been in this 16 years. And I want a partner who's ready to go. And I want somebody who understands the capital that it takes to do that. And so I'm just kind of weighing my options right now. I mean, it might be sooner than that. So I think PE is a great thing. I know that it's come in. I know that it's in HVAC, plumbing, and all those other places. I've had buddies who've already sold, and I've had buddies who've sold and did their commitment and now have moved on and sold again. And so I see it. I understand it. Not ready to make any commitment today or tomorrow, but it will be soon.
Did they just find you out of the blue?
I talked to somebody at Fence Tech last year. I had a couple of guys cold call. I've signed NDAs with 2 different guys. I've flown up to Boston and met with a few guys. So a myriad of all different avenues.
Yeah. Okay. The one thing I'll say that I think I got my start in commercial multifamily as an apartment complex owner. You're very close hold with your data and your numbers and your assets that you own because you don't want to show it to a broker because you don't want everybody to rummage through it, right? I think in PE though, when I think about it, if they call you and you give them the time of day, you can go over preliminary data, right? You're not giving anything away. In fact, they may give you a bit of a grade on your business. I'm curious, of these 3, have you gone deep enough where they've given you their red flags and green flags with business? And how do you perceive that in terms of what does MC Fence and Deck need to be doing well in order to sell at the highest multiple?
Ricardo, I don't know how many people are going to see this, but I tell you, I have really enjoyed having talks with these guys for over 6 months.
Yeah.
They're literally telling me what to do. And I just keep meeting with them and I keep talking to them and I send them my latest P&L balance sheet and I let them see everything and they keep talking to me. And so I'm going to get to the best EBITDA that I can get the highest multiple. I can roll some into the larger thing and roll out and go to Crab Island and the Keys. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just having the conversation and I'm studying it. I am studying it. And every time I talk to them, I'm writing it down. I'm studying it on the side when I'm not talking to them. That's what I'm doing. And I think that's the best thing for me and my family. I mean, look, to grow as we have, I've worked way more than 40 hours. If you could have told me, hey, this is a 40-hour week job, I would have laughed at you. It's a minimum 80-hour week job. And so there's probably a time where I'm ready to roll. So
yeah, I hear you. And I interviewed somebody who sold to PE recently and he redeployed his capital right away. He loves the game. And I'm the same way. People always look at entrepreneurs who are successful and say, oh, they finally got to the destination. That's what they were in it the whole time for. I don't think that's the case. I think a good entrepreneur likes the race. They like the day-to-day because it keeps them alive. It keeps them on edge. And it just so happens that they get to enjoy the destination, it can be very fruitful if you build a good business.
I think I would wake up the next morning after that money hits the bank account and I would start another business.
Yeah.
I couldn't. My feet would hit the ground and I'd already be thinking about something else. And unfortunately, I think I've dragged my wife into the same sort of thinking. And so we're laying in bed at 11 o'clock at night talking about this employer, that employer, this marketing talent, whatever. And so I just think that's how we're wired now. I think we would go to the beach or go to where skiing for 5 days and we would look at each other and go, okay, we're good with this. We're getting back to work. So I agree with you there. And I completely agree with you there. I would be ready to roll.
What's a winning mindset that an entrepreneur has to have if they're going to be very successful?
They have to be driven to do things when nobody's looking. The simple things, wake up earlier, stay up later. They've got to understand their numbers, but that winning mindset of, look, man, all my friends are doing X, Y, Z. I have to do this because I'm driven to win. I'm driven to grow. I'm driven to scale. Well, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. I've got to be willing to study things that I hate. I mean, I was a PE teacher. I didn't want to look at P&L sheets. I didn't want to care about accounts payable, accounts receivable. Those things, the winning mindset, you got to dive into the things you hate and you got to learn to love it, man. And it's just about a drive and make the hard call. Pick up the phone when you don't want to. Pick up the phone on a Sunday night, right? When you're starting out, that's what it is. Most people don't get through that first couple of years because your phone can ring so many times it can get hot. I mean, literally temperature hot. And so that winning mindset is just plowing through it and getting it done. But the quicker you learn how to say no, the quicker that stuff stops.
100%. You're right. And there are levels to this game. And I think that when you protect your time, but you keep your head up and you keep plowing through, it's discipline, right?
Yeah.
You can run circles around your competitor or whatever else anybody in the industry is doing, so long as you're consistent and calculated with it. What's one lesson that you've what's one lesson you've learned in your career that perhaps was the most indelible one for you that has not pivoted, but that is kind of pointed towards your success?
I'll go back to our number one core value in our company, which is positive mindset. There's days, especially for the smaller guys, dude, there's days I've had 80-year-old women chase me with a chainsaw. I've been hit with property stakes. I've been cursed out. I've been screamed at. I've gotten 1-star reviews. I mean, the positive mindset day in and day out is woken up one morning with zero money in our bank account. I've like literally been through it all. The positive mindset is the one thing that through it all, if you maintain, you can get through all the stuff, the trials and tribulations that will come if you're going to scale a large business. And, that's our core value number one on our whole business. And I'll keep driving that home. People are tired of hearing me saying it in my own work too, but it's numero uno.
Yeah, it's a shield, if you will, because trust me, the ins and outs of the days are going to bog you down or want to bog you down. You got to stay fortified, especially if you're at the helm of a business, especially if you're the leader in a business, because they're looking to you for that guidance.
Right. And another thing is too, I tell my employees, I'm always learning, right? I'm always reading something. I'm always listening to podcasts. Yep. I'm always learning, right? If I'm going to dive into this thing, I want to be really, really good at it, great at it. So if we give you a task or job and I can recommend 30 books for you to read that will help you with that mindset, that what we're looking for. So keep learning.
Great segue. What's on your nightstand right now that you're reading that's been a good recent read for you?
Well, Dan Martell is obviously, part of the reason why you say no, right? Obviously the highest calling is my Bible and then the standards. It's funny. I go back and I read the E-Myth and I listen to the E-Myth again and again. And it's because I'm in a different place in my business when I first listened to the E-Myth. And now that I'm at this stage of my business, it just means something different. So I'm actually listening to it again right now. So there's so many books, but the E-Myth, The Highest Calling, those are the two books that I would start with if I was a young dude.
I love that. Yeah. I think I've never heard of The Highest Calling. I'm going to have to pick that up and give it a read. I'm reading Traction right now. Is a great book for systems in a business. And I just finished that, looking at operating procedures and standards for your business. For any business owner out there that's listening to this, I'd say, look, if you don't know where to start, plug it into ChatGPT. If it makes sense and it passes the logic test, go with that. But you're really not going to dial in your systems until you put them to the test. And after you put them to the test, you'll have a clear picture as to whether it fits for your business and your culture or not.
So listen, Ricardo, so I read Gino's books. I read The Afters. I read all of them. I actually flew out to Nebraska to support works where they are dialed in with Traction and EOS. And I came back and my business was at a point where, man, this is great. This is a system. This is going to help us. I still recommend it. And it's actually one of the books that's sitting in my nightstand right now. It's going to take a long time to implement his teachings there. And so some of the principles we have implemented and we'll still continue to work on that. But that's a great book as well.
Yeah, I love it. Listen, Mike, I want to thank you for coming on to today's show, man. You and I got the convo started via Facebook Messenger. We talked a little bit about Blue Collar Millionaire, Boardroom Elite. What can we do to help you in what you're working on, man? I want to try to add value to some of the stuff you're working on. You have a tremendous presence, large business. Is there anything we can do to help you?
No, just keep being the community. I'm going to keep consuming the media. And I love conversations like this. I love real people who are actually doing the work and in the business. We haven't got the checks from PE yet. And so we're still in the grind. And so that's who I love to listen to. Right. And so just keep putting the content out.
Yeah, we sure will, man. And we wish you all the best. I'd say based on what I'm hearing right now, 3 different firms looking at you, what you can always do is look at them and say, you guys can fight for me and keep me posted on what you need. You need a new P&L, I'll send it in the meantime and I'll be able to explain anything you want.
That's right. And 2 of them were the big boys. So we're hoping, me and my accounting team, we're having a lot of great conversations. So
I love it, man. Where can guests get a hold of you if you're okay with that? What's your favorite platform?
they can find me on Instagram. It's at MC Fence and Deck. I don't have my own personal stuff out there just yet. We're working on that too behind the scenes. And Instagram, that's the best way.
Love it. Listen, Mike, thank you so much for your time today, man. It was a real pleasure to have you on the show. I think this is going to add a lot of value to our listeners. Thank you for your time today.
Ricardo, thank you, sir.